you'd be so kind. Play the alarm because I want to transition to Vikings, and I think I got bad news. All right, Doogie, let's go there.
And you have something new in the last 10 minutes? I haven't been on Twitter.
No, I do not.
Okay.
But I think that this deserves. But I think that this deserves now the alarm officially, because this player is not nearly as important yet as Danielle Hunter was a year ago. But man, is it starting to feel familiar. First round pick, Christian Darrisaw, your planned opening day left tackle. Don't tell me he wasn't. Don't tell me that you thought to yourself, oh, Rashad Hill can start. That'll be good. Everybody from the folks who draw paychecks from the Wilson Egan to the guy in Duluth who just turns on the game on Sunday said Christian Darrisaw will start at left tackle on opening day. Christian Darrisaw missed the opening portion of training camp completely, did not practice. Then was in pads for a few days, but never took part in real drills. Like he did a little bit of work, but no team drills, no nothing. Rashad Hill remained at left tackle. And then yesterday for the joint practice against the Broncos was, I believe, the only player who was nowhere to be found. He was not on the field. I don't know if he was working out. I don't know where he was. I don't know if he was seeing somebody. I don't know. But I will say this. My veteran spidey senses, which go back to my time at the Star Tribune covering the Vikings. And as I said, Danielle Hunter last year, this is beginning to feel like there's real problems here injury-wise, and I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to get the word in like 2 weeks. Hey, man, we tried. He tried to play, but he had a core/groin surgery in January, but something didn't go right there, or it wasn't complete enough. I just think if you put the pieces of this puzzle together, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I don't think it's going to be good news.
I get it. You having your tentacles up, the spidey sense. I wasn't there yesterday. I'll be there later today. But yeah, I mean, a few players didn't participate. Danielle Hunter, Justin Jefferson, Dede Westbrook. But they were spotted. Nate Stanley. Yeah, I mean, the only guy that literally wasn't spotted was Christian Darrisaw. So where was he? Like, it doesn't make sense for him to have been inside getting treatment because you'd want him out there at least to see, to experience, what his fellow offensive linemen were up against with the Broncos defensive linemen. So, was he visiting? Did he fly out to go visit, a doctor? I get the concern. I do. I've not heard at this point of him needing to undergo some sort of second surgery, that the first surgery in January maybe necessarily didn't work the way they had planned. But yeah, is it something on my radar, Judd? Yeah, it is. And at this point, Rashad Hill starting week 1, there's your starting left tackle. Rashad Hill is your starting left tackle 1 month from today in Cincinnati against the Bengals. But yeah, I mean, when they took him in late April, Judd, the idea was we just found our starting left tackle. This is our guy. It made us, feel good after moving off Riley Reif, who you could debate. Maybe it was Brian O'Neill, but you could debate Riley Reif was their best offensive lineman last year. When you talk about the number 4 total offense, the year that Dalvin had, the success that Cousins had, Riley Reif certainly had a good amount to do with that. So yes, it's a legitimate concern. And once again, how many years is this in a row where the number one storyline is the offensive line? There are other questions, don't get me wrong, right? I don't think Bashaud Breeland had a particularly great day yesterday, but he's been around enough. I still think he's going to be the second corner come the Bengals game, that he'll beat out Cam Dantzler. I get all the other questions. Heck, kicker. We haven't talked much about kicker. How much faith do you have in Greg Joseph? But I'm telling you, the number one storyline, and wide receivers keep going down. Blake Prohl put on Instagram. If you read his Instagram post, it's what we feared when he went down yesterday. Our photojournalist, Scott Wise, captured it pretty darn good. Not the play, but when he was down and he covered his face, it looked like he was, there were some tears there when he got carted off. Just the look on his face was, this is a really bad injury. And if you read Blake Prohl's Instagram post, it's pretty clear it's a season-ending knee injury. And, BC goes down with the season-ending injury. So, There's other storylines, don't get me wrong, and they're thin at receiver. I get all of that. But the number one storyline, Judd, is the offensive line. We thought Wyatt Davis, starter at right guard. We thought Christian Darrisaw, starter at left tackle. Neither of those things is going to happen. Now, my understanding is Wyatt Davis had a good day yesterday. I still think there's a lot there with Wyatt Davis. I can see him eventually being the starter at right guard at some point this season. And Oli Udoh had a good day too. Like, they may have found a diamond in the rough there. With him, it's not going to be Dakota Dozier. Let's not kid ourselves. It would be Oli Udoh if it's not Wyatt Davis starting at right guard. But yeah, it's like, come on here. Like, the idea isn't for Rashad Hill to be the starting left tackle. So yeah, I get all the concerns that you have. I'll tell you, for whatever it's worth, somebody who knows Darrisaw really well, who's been good to me, has certainly texted me back on a pretty regular basis when I reach out to this individual, has cut off communication with me. Just has. I mean, I reached out to this individual multiple times yesterday.
You got dumped.
Got ghosted.
I get ghosted all the time.
Ghosted. There's a big
Everson
difference.
Griffin continues to ghost me. I reached out to him the other day. He told me a few weeks ago. Well, yeah, I mean, I know that Everson is not re-signing with the Vikings, and I don't even know if he ends up with an NFL job this year. But I wanted to catch up with Everson. He told me a few weeks ago he would do an interview, and I keep reaching out. I try not to be a pest, but I've reached out 2 or 3 times the last 2 or 3 weeks. He's ghosted me. Hasn't gotten back to me.
Doogie, I have an offensive line question here for you just in a second. But by the way, these scoops are powered by our friends at PXG in Minneapolis. Go check out those Gen 4 drivers. They have Gen 4 golf clubs as well. Maybe you need a new putter, or if you're like Judd Zulgad, who was just ripping me for wearing a nice shirt. Well, Judd, PXG also has apparel. You can go down to PXG in the Southdale Center, right around your neck of the woods. Go down there, get a nice polo like Dukes has on, rocking that old school 1500 ESPN's polo. You can get a PXG polo in Southdale Center, and maybe eventually pick up your golf game as well. I know you're hesitant to get back on, but if there's any time to go, I would go to PXG and get a new set of clubs.
All right, here's an update, by the way, because I knew the Darrisaw talk was coming up, so I texted the person again about 15 minutes ago. This individual got back to me. We are trying to figure out the injury with him. So read between the lines on that one. Yeah, I mean, he had to have. Right, I mean, he would have been out there yesterday. I will trust you, Judd. I was not there.
Yeah, no,
but that he was not spotted out there. And I get it. There were a ton of players on the field between the two teams. So is it possible, your eyes deceived you? Maybe. But I trust you, Judd. You didn't see him out there.
No,
you looked and you were talking to people.
People who said
you didn't see him out there yesterday. So there you go, right? Like, there's no way he was inside TCO Performance Center. Like, he clearly wasn't on the campus of the Vikings facility yesterday. So, I'll work on that portion of things. But, yeah, I mean, bottom line, they are trying to figure out this injury. Yeah.
Well, maybe the only bright spot on the offensive line, Dukes, Brian O'Neill. And, in fact, Von Miller might have had the biggest quote of the day yesterday, the Broncos linebacker, one of the best in the business. He said at the podium that Brian O'Neill is one of the best right tackles in the league, and I got a lot of work against him today. I know there's been some talks of extending Brian O'Neill. For God's sakes, he's the only stable person on that offensive line, and he's been a damn good tackle since being drafted. Are the extension talks progressing at all? Do you envision him maybe inking a new deal before week 1 or maybe even midseason? What have you heard on Brian O'Neill's contract front?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a better chance it gets done before week 1 as opposed to, mid-October or late October. But bottom line, Declan, yeah, I see it happening. I mean, I feel pretty good still about a Harrison Smith extension happening, and I actually feel better. I would bet more money on a Brian O'Neill extension happening. So yeah, those talks are ongoing. There's a roadmap there when you look at what the Colts tackle got, when you look at what the Saints tackle got, and maybe O'Neill's not quite in the category of those guys. Carolina gave its tackle, pretty good money. So, there's a template there, money-wise, to get a deal done. So, yeah, to answer your question, Declan, yeah, 100%. I see the Vikings locking up Brian O'Neill long-term, and I would imagine, it happens in the next month.
All right, Dukes, we are officially old, especially me, because this weekend will be a 30-year celebration of the 91 Twins World Series champions. I was at Game 7. I was sitting in left field. I saw the ball basically right in front of me off the bat of Gene Larkin bounce and glad he score. The last significant championship by one of the 4 men's major sports teams in this city Tell me about how old these people are going to look now, because I think I'm going to be a really depressed 51-year-old who was 21 that night and itching to get out for a drink.
Yeah, and many of the guys are scheduled to be in town. In fact, many are arriving today. There's the unfortunate news going back multiple months of Tom Kelly, tragically losing his son, Tom Kelly Jr., at 42 years old. So there is going to be a memorial tomorrow. So I know a lot of the guys will be at that, So, yeah, a lot of guys are getting in town today. But there are a bunch of guys, not bunch. There's 5 people total. I know of a coach, a few players that are not coming, including Chuck Knobloch. Like, I'm told Dan Gladden has been working Chuck for a while. Chuck is he's a different breed. He's a different animal. There's enough stuff out there, social media wise. Although I don't know if he's active still on social media, but if you go to some of his old tweets from the last few years, there's, speaking of having your tentacles up, there's something a little off there. So Knobloch won't be in town. Sounds like Shane Mack will not be in town. But yeah, a lot of guys will be here. No Shane Mack.
Because he's mad at him, or because he?
I'm not quite sure, but he won't be here. No Shane Mack.
Because Chuck was going to go in the Twins Hall of Fame. Was that 2018-ish, 17-ish?
No, Chuck. I think that was like 14.
And then he
he had a D-dub, I believe.
A run-in with the law. Yeah,
a run with the law.
Here you go. By the way, you ready for a scoop?
Oh, here you go.
Here you go.
Yeah, live scoops. Yeah, let's go.
Christian Darrisaw was in Philadelphia yesterday. He saw Dr. Myers, a core muscle specialist.
See,
there you go.
I told you it didn't go well. And did I not tell you the spidey senses were at an all-time high?
Well, yeah, you texted me last night to do some legwork, or yesterday afternoon. So thank you for putting the wheels in motion.
Yeah, let's get that out there too. Let's get that tweeted. So Philadelphia, I'm going to write this down quick as we do the pod as well. So seeing Dr. Myers, you said?
Meyers.
Okay. So Christian,
maybe there's a story out there about Dr. Myers, treating some other athletes. Anyway, I'd have to go to the Google.
Anyway, this is not good news. This is not good news, because this means that something's not right, and they're fishing around for. And by the way, if the surgery didn't take, my professional advice, not being a doctor but covering this stuff, is get the surgery again. Do not try and play through it, Christian. Please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have enough intimate knowledge of his specific situation, that particular injury. So I don't know, all those intricacies. But yeah, I mean, clearly when he's flying out of town to see a specialist, there's cause for concern.
Which is why Zimmer's been so frustrated. Which is why Mike at the podium has been so frustrated, because again, this guy was not expected to come in and be Kellen Mond and it's too bad you're going to have to sit. He was expected to come in and